Donald Trump is falling apart right before our eyes. Sounds unbelievable, right? But in the last 48 hours, his decline has become impossible to ignore. Cognitive glitches, bizarre public moments, and physical deterioration are happening, and they're happening fast. This isn't just one-off mistake. It's a disturbing trend, yet no one's calling it what it is. Fox News is still out there touting his strength, talking about his testosterone levels and how he's a relatable guy who loves McDonald's. But here's the kicker. None of this covers up the real issues that are now becoming too obvious to miss. From a bizarre press conference where he rambles about milk somehow helping his brain to repeatedly misplacing his words about national security, it's clear something's not right. But no one's talking about it. Why? Why isn't anyone digging into this? Stick around, because what I'm about to show you will completely change your perspective on what's really going on. Now let's look at what's really going on here. In the last 48 hours, we've seen more than just oddities. There's a pattern emerging. Donald Trump isn't just forgetting his words. He's tripping over his own reality. He's slipping into a new territory, one where his cognitive abilities are being questioned publicly by millions. And it's not just the media making him look bad. He's doing it himself. Take a recent press conference, for instance. Trump literally can't remember basic things, like whether it's the southern boulevard or the southern border he's talking about. This isn't a small slip-up. This is something bigger. So what does it all mean? Is this just an old man moment, or is something deeper at play? Is this the kind of mental deterioration we should be worried about for someone running for the most powerful office in the world? Think about it. If this is happening in front of the cameras, what's going on behind the scenes? Hold that thought, because what happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew. Here's where things start to get really unsettling. Trump is talking about taking cognitive tests over and over again, like it's some kind of flex. I've aced every one of them, he proudly claims, all while casually mentioning that drinking milk is his secret. Milk? Yes, milk. This is not a normal conversation for a former president, or any adult for that matter. But let's stop here for a second and ask, why is he bringing this up? Why is it that in the middle of this bizarre press conference, the focus shifts to his cognitive tests and his obsession with milk? Is this just a random comment, or is it a sign of something deeper? Notice what's missing. No one's talking about the obvious, the fact that he's desperately trying to reassure us. That's not normal. People don't go on and on about something like this unless there's a reason to hide something else. Could this be a way to cover up a bigger issue? Stay with me, because we're just getting started. And the next part is where things start to unravel even faster. And just when you thought it couldn't get stranger, guess what happens next? The situation escalates. Trump, at a recent event, can't even get the basics right. He keeps saying Southern Boulevard when he clearly means the southern border. Is it a mistake, or is it something more? His slip-ups aren't just occasional, they're becoming frequent. And that's not normal for someone who's supposed to be sharp, especially when he's vying for the highest office in the land. Now, let's compare this to a pattern we've seen before. Think back to previous public figures whose mental decline was ignored until it became too obvious to ignore. There's a history here, and this is starting to feel eerily familiar. But what's worse, the fact that this is becoming normalized. Everyone's brushing it off as no big deal, but should we? This is where it flips. When did it become okay to dismiss these signs? We've reached a point where these kinds of cognitive slips, once unthinkable in someone of Trump's stature, are now brushed under the rug. And that's the dangerous part. So here's the question. If this is being swept aside, what else is being ignored? Stick with me, because what happens next is going to shock you. Now, things take an even darker turn. In the middle of all this, Trump does something that's almost impossible to believe. At a recent event, he casually accepts someone else's Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, you heard that right. Someone else's. Maria Corina Machado, who won the prize, handed it to him, and he took it. No shame, no second thoughts. He didn't even seem to care that it wasn't his to begin with. So, what does that say about his state of mind? And it gets worse. When reporters ask him why he accepted it, his response is chilling. He says, "She offered it to me, and I thought it was very nice." Yeah, he genuinely believes he deserves it, even though he did nothing to earn it. Notice the contradiction. He's acting like this Nobel Prize is just another trophy, when in reality it's a symbol of international achievement, something far beyond a politician's grasp. But for Trump, it's just another thing to add to his collection. This is a man who, at this point, is so out of touch with reality that he believes any accolade is his for the taking. And it doesn't stop there. The moment you think it can't get worse, it does. Let's dive deeper into the next layer of his behavior. You're not going to believe this. And just when it seems like Trump can't get any more unpredictable, everything starts to unravel fast. In the span of just a few moments, we see multiple disturbing developments. First, he's talking about his supposed $2 trillion deals with foreign countries, deals that never happened. He's claiming victories that don't exist, making up numbers that are completely false. And that's not even the worst part. Then, out of nowhere, he greets Laura Loomer, a far-right extremist, at his Palm Beach event. The conversation is jarring. He praises her for her spirit, even though she's known for some of the most controversial and inflammatory comments in the media. This is the moment that changes everything. Trump, once the president, is now entertaining and elevating the very people who represent the most extreme parts of the political spectrum. He's not just tolerating them, he's celebrating them. Now imagine the pressure that must be mounting on him. Multiple scandals, lies, and bizarre actions stacking up one after the other. What happens when a leader, once thought to be in control, starts losing his grip? The next move? It's already taking shape and it's not looking good. Now let's talk about the real-world consequences of all this. It's easy to watch from a distance and think this is just a game, just politics. But here's the truth. This is impacting real people, and it could affect you too. When someone in a position of immense power begins to lose control like this, the ripple effects are felt everywhere. Think about it. Whether it's the instability in government, the bizarre public appearances, or the constant contradictions, this creates chaos that trickles down to everyone. What does it mean for the millions of Americans who rely on leadership that is strong, clear, and stable? It's not just about what Trump is doing, it's about what his actions represent for the future of the country. People are scared, confused, and frustrated. And all the while, the media is busy talking about milk and testosterone, completely missing the bigger picture. If this feels familiar to you, let me know in the comments. Because whether you're on the left or the right, this affects us all. Now let's step back for a moment and ask, how much longer can this continue? And more importantly, what happens when it doesn't? The answer is coming, and it's closer than you think. So here's the unsettling part that no one wants to talk about. It's not just Trump's behavior that's the problem. It's the system that's allowing it to happen. There's a mechanism at work here that enables this kind of instability to thrive. Think about it. When someone like Trump, with all his contradictions and mishaps, can continue to hold a significant amount of power, it shows a fundamental flaw in the system itself. We're talking about the media, the politicians, the powers that be, people who are willing to ignore the signs for their own gain. They're not asking the hard questions. They're not pushing for answers. And they're certainly not holding anyone accountable. It's all about the spectacle, the drama, the ratings. It's the reality show mentality that's been allowed to dominate politics. Here's the cold truth. We've become so desensitized to this madness that we've accepted it as the new normal, and that's dangerous. It's easier to sell a narrative than to actually fix a problem. The people in charge know this, and they're playing us. The question now is, how much longer will we let this continue? So what happens next? Let's look at two possible paths, and neither one is pretty. On one hand, we could see more of the same. Trump continuing to spiral, his behavior becoming more erratic, and his cognitive decline becoming harder to ignore. This path leads to more chaos, more instability, and more questions about the future of the country. As his grip loosens, the consequences will only grow more severe. We could be watching a slow-motion crisis unfold, one that ultimately leaves the country in a state of uncertainty. On the other hand, there's the possibility that things escalate even faster, maybe a major event, a breaking point that forces everyone to confront the truth. But here's the catch. No one knows exactly when that tipping point will come. It could happen tomorrow, or it could take years. What's clear, though, is that momentum is building. It's already in motion. The question is, who will step in when it all comes crashing down? The next move is already forming, and it's only a matter of time before we're forced to deal with the fallout. Which way will it go? Here's the one thing you need to walk away with. All of this is a test of power, of systems, and of what we're willing to tolerate. As much as we want to believe we're in control, what's happening right now shows us just how fragile everything really is. The moment we stop asking the tough questions and start accepting the absurdities, we lose. What's happening with Trump is not an isolated incident. It's a reflection of the larger forces at play in our society. And if we don't start demanding better, this chaotic, dangerous cycle will continue. So what's the answer? We need to stay vigilant, keep asking the hard questions, and demand accountability. This isn't just about one man, it's about all of us. The only way to break the cycle is by refusing to let it go on. So if you want to keep seeing this kind of in-depth analysis, make sure to follow and subscribe for more, because trust me, the next story will be even more shocking.